Hi there, welcome to part two of this very special episode with the one and only Dedra. Thank you for joining me again, Dedra.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. So the last episode, we talked a little bit about autism awareness and the importance of spreading kind of the information and facts about that amongst the society here. Now, I also know that you are a published author.
Yes, I am. I have now 8 books under my belt, and I'm working on another one. The best book I've ever written is yet to come. Not that the other ones are bad. They are good. I promise you. They're fun, exciting, good reads. But my magnum opus is on its way. Right.
Wow.
Yes. As well as an anthology of science fiction short stories called Human Horizons is on the way as well. Now, that's not just me, but it's a collection of a lot of authors that have gotten together and contributed their short science fiction tales, to come up with this collector's edition.
I see. Okay, so I know that you have a cookbook, right? That you have created specifically for Ramadan dishes.
I do.
Oh my God, you have it with you. It's so pretty.
I do. It's right here, in fact. So
that's amazing. Wow. Honestly, the cover for me just makes me want to eat it because of all the fresh looking vegetables. Yeah, right there. That's
Yep, absolutely. And there's all the flags as well for all the countries that are represented.
Oh,
did you notice
so cool.
that?
I did not notice that. That's actually really neat. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
All
okay,
those countries.
So my first question, oh no, that's actually incredible. The fact that each country is actually represented on the book, so you almost know exactly what you're getting yourself into when you read it. But
thank you.
No, it's incredible. But my first question is, what has inspired you to write books? Because you said that you've published 8 books. So what's the story behind that?
Well, I had the chance, thankfully, to get a great education in college and work, as a professional librarian for some time and in, a few different locations. As my first master's is in library service, and my second is in communication. I have taught communication courses at a local university here for many years, and off and on I've had chances to work, with a proper job, quote unquote. But, along the way, I've raised children, and, I've taken time off here and there throughout, my younger years, to raise a family, because call me crazy. I feel like it's really important to really raise them yourself rather than just hand them over to someone else,
of course,
to raise them. So it was very important for me to put my personal touch on that. But having, such a background and having such a curious mind, like me, I really needed something to do, something that was not just it's not just changing diapers or reading bedtime stories or anything. I really needed
something to occupy your time.
My creative energy into. So the Hakima's Tale actually started off as a hobby, just something to do, to pass to use that creative side of me and have a channel for it. But it turned into something so much more. As I was writing, a story began to unfold. And I never realized how much I was circling around the story, probably for years, because it just poured out of me, especially the first book really just poured out of me. And then I realized that could be a trilogy. And, the second book, I took a year to do that one, and then a year to do the third book. And then, that turned into school visits and all kinds of promotional activities throughout the Emirates. And, the kids have always been so excited, to hear about the characters of the Hakima's Tale, the magical characters, and the heroine. who is an Emirati American young lady. Yes, based a little bit, maybe
I was
a
gonna say that
bit
sounds
on
kind
me,
of familiar.
just a bit. People ask me that often, like, is Phoenix, your main character based on you? And I have to say, in part, yes, but so is the Blue Genie, I mean, even the bad guy is part of me too,
Yeah.
I mean, one of the nicest things in the world about writing villains is that they can say a lot of the things you might have inner thoughts about.
It's like, what am I really thinking? I'll write it down right now.
You find it difficult to say it. Yeah.
Well,
The
now
Blue Genie can
really
say
think
things
about
that
us,
Deidre
Dedra.
Stevenson can't say. Yeah.
Seriously. Wow. Okay. So you started off with your first book, and then so where's the cookbook? Where does that fit into this process?
Okay. So, after, Desert Magnolia, my crime drama, and my horror novel, The Skinwalker Resurrection, and a couple of other projects as well, I decided, we were having Ramadan every year, being a Muslim family, of course. And I wanted to make Ramadan a little bit more fun. I always heard my children say things like, "Oh, Christmas is so fun. I wish, we had something really awesome like that." I mean, so I really just started this out to make Ramadan more fun for them, and create a family tradition, something that they can look forward to every single year. So every night for iftar, I would prepare a meal from a different country's cuisine, so that it was like we were taking a culinary trip around the world every time Ramadan came around. So everybody started to look forward to what's for iftar tonight. Oh my God, where
which country are we
be in
tasting
Greece
today?
Are we going to be in France? Are we going to be in Germany? Yeah, up to mom.
Seriously.
And then I started posting about it, and people started to follow the post so much that, I started to gather these recipes together. And the cookbook is what resulted. I just compiled some of my favorites into the book, and there we are. Along with some of my travel anecdotes, some of the countries that I've actually had the chance to visit personally. Well, I said a thing or two, and I maybe included a few of my personal pictures in there as well.
You really like personalized like this part of your career, like having that book out there that speaks not just about the recipes, but about you as Dedra and what your journey and what you've gone through to create it. But what's interesting to me is the title of the book, the fact that it's called Breaking Bread. Like that for me is obviously like the symbol of it's not just about it's the pun, right? So it's like you're breaking physical food like bread, plus you're actually connecting with each other, and it's almost like Thanksgiving, right? It's like connecting with everybody. Yeah, I figured you would have that connection in mind.
Well, Thanksgiving is my absolute favorite American holiday, actually, because it is about family, and it's about people getting together, and just relaxing and enjoying a good meal together and feeling thankful for all of your blessings. I mean, what could be better than that, really?
No, of course.
I mean,
so
pretty amazing.
What's the favorite dish that you have in that book? If you had to pick one dish that was like the best, delicious, everything.
One dish. Oh my God. Oh,
okay. Top three.
Oh my God. Well, I'd have to say the section on Greece is pretty interesting to me. The gyro sandwiches. I quite love Greek gyro sandwiches. And there's a recipe in here for making your own gyro meat, for how to put together a gyro loaf. And then you slice it up and you make yourself some homemade gyro sandwiches. And the recipe for the sauce is in here too. That delicious dill sauce that goes in there. Yum, right? So I'm quite a fan of Greek food. Of course, lately I have been sort of going more the vegan route of things. So I don't know if I'm ever going to get to really enjoy that again, but
at least we can. If you can, we can.
At the time, I really, really enjoyed it. Of course, oh my gosh, Italy is always a favorite. I mean, I think I've got a recipe in here for homemade pizza. So that's
Wow.
really, and a nice spaghetti recipe as well, oh gosh.
How many countries did you cook for?
How many countries? Well, gosh, with all the Ramadans together that I've done this for, I've probably been to, I'd say safely about 60 to 70 countries, I've made recipes from, well, there's 30 of which in this book, but,
Wow.
but there's not everything has been included in the book. I mean, I do have a Facebook page called Breaking Bread Around the World as well. So if you really want to see, how many countries I've actually been around to in my Ramadan recipes, you can go there and have a look.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
incredible. I mean, the fact that correct me if I'm wrong, but you did not grow up in the Muslim culture, if I'm not mistaken?
No, I did not. I grew up a Christian.
Okay.
And with all due respect, to that, I was always an incredibly curious child, and probably way more so than anyone else, that was around me. I remember at 12 years old, I made an appointment with the preacher to the church, that we went to, and I went to his house. I rode there on my bicycle, and I sat in his living room just like an adult. And I asked him, could you please explain how the Trinity actually works? How exactly is Jesus the Son for God, and how is the Holy Ghost actually Jesus, but when he was not here, that
Right,
sort
the
of thing.
whole,
And I had
yeah.
a number of I had a whole string of questions to ask him, things that I'd put a lot of thought into. And he was so exhausted and attempting, to answer my questions, but certainly not in a satisfactory manner. He was just trying to answer me and satisfy me. And I was still asking, it just made more questions and more and more and more come out,
Yeah.
to the point that he finally just told me that I was way too young to be so serious and I should just go out and play.
Sorry? What? What?
I was
He
way
said
too
that?
young to be so serious, and I
Homie.
should just go outside and play and stop, trying to figure out the world, because God didn't expect that we should know everything. Some things you just have to accept on faith. I know, right?
I'm going to stay quiet for this part of the episode.
At the time, there really wasn't any alternative, because I'd never really even heard of Islam. At the time, I grew up in a small town in Alabama, where people just didn't know about that or talk
Yeah,
about it.
naturally.
It wasn't around, until I got to college. And then I met my first Muslims, because I worked as an English language, a conversation partner in the English Language Institute. And basically, it was wonderful because they paid me to talk. It was the most fantastic job in the world, because foreign students would sit with me and have a conversation in English so they could pass, that section of the TOEFL where they would have conversation skills. And it was wonderful. As soon as I met my first Muslims, I was like, oh my God, so what exactly do you believe?
Yeah.
Walk through it.
That sparked the
What's
curiosity
the
inside you more.
of your religion, and tell me about your country. How do you guys live? I mean, what are your
Camels
houses
and
like?
tents.
Because, the stereotypes
We've all been
were
there.
stunning. I mean, it was really something. So it was really great. I mean, a lot of my first friends were Saudi Arabian, Iranian, and it was so funny that in the English Language Institute, they told me not to discuss religion or politics with the students because they might get into fights, because everybody was so passionate, so different about everything.
It's understandable.
But I discussed everything. I didn't follow
Of
any of
course
those
you did.
rules.
Of
I
course you
discussed
did.
religion, politics, everything with them, because people will respond to you if you have respect for them. This is one thing I learned early on. I mean, they could tell that I was not being condescending to them. I generally wanted to learn about them. I wanted to know, gosh, what's a typical day in your life like? Tell me about what it's like living in your country,
Mm-hmm.
and what's your president like? I mean, do you have a king? Is there stuff like that?
Really going back to basics there, Dedra. Really going back to
Yeah.
basics there.
It was wonderful. It was fantastic. And we all got along so famously. I mean, people who would have normally been fighting. And I think that kind of energy kind of fed into the book as well, because I cover countries like Afghanistan, in the book,
Mm-hmm.
and, Syria, Iran, Turkey. I mean, and I have no reservations about that because, when you understand that people are people wherever you are, you are a lot less afraid of them, and they become more just like you and me,
Okay. So my question
Yeah.
now is, that's firstly, I totally commend you on making the decision to convert and to, stick to your conversion. And obviously, just the fact that you practice Ramadan and it's something that you would not have been raised with. Like, I can only imagine like the struggles of like learning how to fast and how your body adapts to that. So, I wanted to know, what was it like what really made you think, you know what, I'm going to start fasting, like I'm going to do this, like no water, nothing, like I want to do this right. Like what inspired you to do that?
Well, it was difficult for a few years there in the beginning, when I was first learning how to fast, because pardon me, growing up, there was never anything similar, in my life to fasting.
Mm-hmm.
It was inconceivable that there would be a part of the day that you couldn't have anything to eat or drink. And I looked at it like, I mean, I talked to, a sheikh about it. And, I asked some questions about how I should go about it. I mean, because it seemed rather harsh in the beginning, especially for somebody who had just who was just learning how to
Mm-hmm.
practice Islam. And he gave me the best advice ever. He said, you're like a child right now in Islam. So practice Ramadan like a kid would, fast for as long as you can during the
Mm.
day, and each time you do it, try to go a little bit further and a little bit further, and try
Right.
to ease yourself into this process, and God will forgive you, for the short, for not being able to do it fully right away,
I mean, some of
and
us who have been like born and bred and raised Muslim still struggle with it, so you are definitely not alone.
thank you. Well, yeah, it's not easy, and it was not an easy thing to ease into,
Of course.
and that's how I did it though. I kind of felt like, well, others people who were born and raised in Islam, they had the chance to be a kid and to fast until 1 o'clock, or maybe just go all day without food, but they could still have water, so I didn't get that opportunity, becoming a Muslim as an adult. So I think
Mm-hmm.
it is fair, for me to kind of have that time in the beginning that I'm learning, and I did eventually start fasting fully, like full on, like everybody else,
Mm.
and now I find it not only easier, but I find it incredibly beneficial because
Mm.
you really do. There is something that happens to you, while you're
Mm-hmm.
fasting. You do become a more charitable person because you do feel what it's like to be hungry, and you
Mm-hmm.
realize there are hungry people all over the world right now that don't have a nice iftar to go
Yeah,
to
and it
every
definitely teaches you
day,
that patience
so
too, that
it
like you
kind of
don't
makes you
necessarily have
open your
access
wallet. uh,
to like
exactly,
all that food. So no, I
yeah,
definitely,
they
I
don't
definitely
have
agree.
access. Yeah, they don't have access to the food, so you have to feel a little bit grateful for what you have.
And I actually feel very grateful to talk to you right now because I know that you have some signed copies of your book for me.
Yes, I do. I have signed copies, and one of these copies that I'm going to send to you is going to be a prize that you can give to one of your lucky listeners or viewers slash listeners, right? And you
Wow,
can,
thank you,
you can
Dedra,
make a
for
contest
that.
out of who wins it.
That's incredible. Well, you guys, you know what? You heard it from the lady herself. There is a special prize up for grabs, a signed copy of Dedra's cookbook. And if you stay tuned to the pages very, very soon, I will announce the nature of the competition. You would have had to listen to both part 1 and part 2 of this episode to be able to answer the questions in the quiz. But if you stay tuned, you may just win the autographed book of Miss Dedra, which is super exciting. And I personally am going to go buy one right now myself because I really need to look at that recipe for the gyros. Am I right? Yes. Perfect.
Absolutely. Yes, you should look at that recipe. And as well, I will provide you with 5 additional copies that are signed that people can order directly from you as well. So you'll have a small supply of your own.
Can I just keep it for myself? But in all seriousness, that's, it's incredible. So guys, please do have a look at my link in bio. I will give you all the details for how to purchase Dedra's book. Of course, there's also the competition. So if you have listened well enough through the last 2 episodes, then you will be able to answer those questions. And Dedra, where can the viewers buy your other books by any chance?
Well, they're all available on Amazon.
Okay.
So that includes Amazon AE as well. So that would mean that they are deliverable right to your home.
Perfect.
They're available through barnesandnoble.com as well. So, and also kobo.com and the book depository as well. And we also have them in a bookstore here in Festival City called Bookstopia.
Okay.
Booktopia. Yes. So if you are in Festival City and you'd like to just wander into a brick and mortar bookshop and look for them, they are there.
I love how you said brick and mortar. Very, very important point.
Exactly.
But remind me of the genres of your book. So you said one is crime, one is the Hakim stories, the first one, and obviously the cookbook. What else did you write about?
Okay, so and there's also Desert Magnolia, which is that's the crime. You did mention that actually.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, the crime drama. It's actually a crime/courtroom drama.
Okay.
And Desert Magnolia has been based at least partially on true experiences in my own life. So
Okay.
yeah,
Interesting.
that one might be particularly interesting. That one is not for kids though, because some of the language, that might be used there.
Got it. No, that's good for the viewers to know.
Good for the viewers to know. And the Hakima's Tale though is for all audiences because it is, for young adult readers, and it's fantasy fiction. So there's The Revenge of the Blue Jenny, The Rise of the Warrior, and The Dawn of Redemption. So that would be 3 books in that set.
Okay.
And also there's the Skinwalker Resurrection, which is a horror book, and again not for children because it's a horror novel.
Naturally.
Yeah. Oh, and I do have a children's book called Little Loud Beatrice and the Magic Painting as well. So that's for the very, very young ones.
Oh, wow. You really do. You've touched on every single kind of age demographic, which is fantastic. Well, that's incredible.
And there's one more there that I don't have in bookstores here yet because it's brand new. It's called Ifrit. Ifrit is a novella for young adults, and it is the first of a series called A Spook's Tale series. And that's an acronym as well. So pick up the book, or see the description, on bluejennymedia.com. We will actually, that's another place that you can find the buying links for all of these, and as well as Lemonade the movie. You can also go there for the link to watch on bluejennymedia.com.
I don't know how you do it, Dedra. I do not know how you do it. Published books, cookbook, screenwriter, lemonade maker, literally, both figuratively and literally. I do not know how you do it. I'm beyond inspired, and I'm so grateful that you were able to take the time to talk to me about the first episode and now this second part. I am honestly humbled by this. So guys, don't forget, you can have a look at Dedra's books through my page or through the link in her page as well. There are clearly tons of different genres you can choose from anytime you want to pick up a nice new story and just kind of get lost in the moment, I could say. And like she said, of course, I'm going to be hosting a competition very soon where you might have the chance to be that lucky winner. But in the meantime, thank you so much, Dedra, for being on my show. I truly appreciate it.
Oh, you're most welcome. Thank you so much for having me. It was an honor, really.
Oh, you're so sweet. Like, I want to just like hug you. You're so sweet.
Oh, anytime.
Well, thank you guys for tuning into this episode. As always, there's an episode out every other Saturday. You know where to find me. Instagram, YouTube, all the, social media platforms, you name it. If you have any questions for Dedra or want to, pick up her book or have anything else you want to add, leave in the comments below and I will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.